Sorry, guys. Completely lost track of time. I just looked at the clock and I'm thinking, man, I'm having a nice, quiet day off. Grinding some stats, looking at some projections. I was like, wait. There was something I meant to do today. Oh yeah, that thing I scheduled. Uh, uh, just forgot. Sorry. So I meant to talk today about my rookie board, which I'm having trouble with. Ranks pretty comfortable. Dropped the episode. Pretty set on what I rank. But where do I draft players? Becomes the question, you know. Let's see if I can pull that up. I'll put the link in the chat to my actual rookie board. We're just going to turn that live now. Post it out. Mm-hmm. So the rookie draft board is meant to be kind of a... It's not if I had every pick, and I have to be strict with myself with this kind of scenario. What it is if I had every pick in 12 different drafts or in 24 different drafts, which rookie am I taking, right? And I'm trying to insert wide receiver higher because not every running back's going to hit despite positional value. So I'm trying to make my call of where I think it's worth taking the shot on a wide receiver or a running back, essentially. Right now, as everyone can see, on my draft board, I have it going basically 5 straight running backs and wide receiver, and I've been trying to move players around, trying to get comfortable with something different, and I still haven't. All right, gonna get this link for you guys, and I'll put it in the chat. It's on Patreon. It's on Twitter now. So no need. Let's see here. Hey Shane. You got Dobbins, Akers, Lamb, Edwards. At 207, it's still probably high for Edwards, but I like it, man. Darrington Edwards in the third. I'm finding him to be a running back value right now. In the third's probably too high, but I'm really high on him compared to what's left, I was thinking of moving Gibson up a little bit, actually. On the board, not ranks. I'm pretty comfortable where, like, Gibson and Kelly being in that tier together, pretty comfortable with that. It's going pretty well. I wish I hadn't lost track of time, and I'm here 2 hours late. I wish I hadn't have done that. How about yourself? Hmm. Yeah, I'm not. I didn't mean to be low on Gibson. So much as I meant to be high on Kelly. And ADP is teaching me I need to not do that because people are aware of Gibson. You know what I mean? They're aiming for him a lot higher than I would have expected based on, we didn't even know what position he was going to play initially. And now people are excited about the Raiders, I think. Maybe I should switch that. I really like Evans, and I don't mind his landing spot. It's not like Tennessee can't get more work out of another running back, Tempting to move Gibson into that spot, though, just based on ADP. That's the weird thing about a rookie draft board. Like, if I have every pick, I don't have to worry about that. But if I allow myself to put the pressure on, so I incorporate ADP a little bit, then I want Gibson higher because I quite like the player. And if I'm drafting, I'm aware I have to get Gibson before I can get Darrynton Evans and Josh Kelly. But I kind of like both of those players in their situations a little bit more, mainly because Gibson's such a question mark, Gibson went to Oakland, right? It was Washington, wasn't it? Yeah. That's different. Don't know why I had Oakland in my head. I guess Oakland's on in my brain right now. Yeah, he went to Washington. AJ Dillon, we have to perform the same thing we do with Henry Ruggs and Brandon Ayuk. You have to respect the draft round. It's just significant. But I'm not a fan of the player. Like, if they fall, I'm going to take them because of respect to that draft round. But I think people are going to take them before I have to worry about that. But if people really start letting Henry Ruggs drop into the second round as a first round wide receiver, I'm going to snag him. And that's why I've got him like that mid to early second round. I'm okay reaching on that because some of the guys I've got right there, they're going to fall later, right? Let me see if I can do. You guys can go see the link, obviously, but while I'm talking about this for a second, this one. All right. Where am I? All right. So yeah, I've got Henry Ruggs here mostly because if he falls into the second, if T. Higgins and Ruggs fall into the second, ADP tells me I know I need to go get those guys. Same with Zach Moss. Pittman and Chenault, they're probably around here in ADP, I would guess. So with Gibson, I perform the same exercise, So maybe he needs to be ranked with Evans. Maybe I need to move a running back up towards here with Zach Moss because that would help us get the players that we want from the list because I want all the running backs, frankly. I really like these three. Zach Moss, I'm a little neutral on. But he's a decent running back and a decent landing spot for a running back. And other people tell me he can take that load, so it's fine. These two guys, Dillon's down here because I want someone else to draft him above me, Like, I got to respect the draft capital, but I just don't want Packers. Eno's here just because I run out of really great running backs in good situations. 7th round is bad. Anthony McFarland, I'm really interested in, but I run out of places to put him if I'm going to be this high on Evans and Kelly, because these wide receivers are really good flyers. They're not necessarily my guys. Laviska Shenault actually has a really good breakout age draft round combination. As we can see if we, as I showed down here. So, like, you can make up your, that's why I'm trying to put all this down. Like, you make your own board, you can rearrange it however you want. This is just my attempt to rearrange it. And you see, like, he's got a 25% based on his breakout age and draft round. I just feel it's a little bit phony breakout age. So, like, I like Higgins better than him. I like Evans better than him. And that drops him for me. But he's going to a great situation where he could snap up a lot of work. And he does have a good breakout age, good draft round. So, we'll be able to say that if he hits. Sorry, I haven't read the comments in a second here. What we got? I don't think I would be high on Gibson or AJ Dillon. Yep, just said that. I was just responding to you, Mr. Ruggs. Bowden went to Oak. Yeah, I know. I'm really interested in that guy too. Like, there's a lot of guys that I would be snagging in the second round that get pushed down because there's just a few more first round picks this year, Let me do this for a second. Yeah, his draft capital can't pass him up mid-second. And I think Ruggs can fall into the mid-second. There's enough people who are down on him. To JJ Zacharyason's point, most of us are data-driven in fantasy football, or at least information-driven. And so we're all aware. And same with Brandon Ayuk. Like, I really don't want him, but that could be a big miss, guys. Like, he only played 2 years. One of them was great, but it was age 21. I don't find anything that indicates he's good. But I can understand how I have a limited profile. He went really high to a good team. I'm not telling you not to draft him. I'm just saying I am concerned enough. I put him down. Where did I put him? Somewhere terrible. I was just talking about him on the Dynasty Owners Manual podcast, and it made me realize when I was talking through him, I was like, yeah, if you like him, don't let my uncertainty... But I can't find anything to really like. But I could see how I have a limited view of him based on how much he played. Yeah, I've got him in mid-third. There's no way a first-round wide receiver should fall to the mid-third, So I'm a little worried about that one too. Like, my ranks are how I feel about the players, but maybe my draft board shouldn't exactly reflect my ranks. Maybe it should have ADP built into it a little bit more. What would be most useful, I don't think the worst case scenario is Jordan Howard. I think Jordan Howard is a really big upside scenario for Dillon. I liked the player enough, but not. He's just a runner. He's discount Derrick Henry, who broke out in his fourth year with wide open competition. Basically, I mean, Lewis was the hardest competition he eventually got, and that's team decision. Teams making weird calls, sure. But Green Bay's just made a whole bunch of weird calls. They've got 2 good running backs that profile better than Dillon for fantasy in every way, even with their draft capital being less. I just don't understand it. I think Dillon in Washington, and I would have been really interested because that's a team that, has got an Adrian Peterson type. I don't think he's Adrian Peterson, but he could be a severely discounted Adrian Peterson, and they could just run him. I get it. But, running backs, you have to respect the draft round. You do. I think Jordan Howard is an outsider's possibility, even on the Packers. So, yeah, that's how you pay respect to the draft round, but I would think of that as his best case. That's just me. I don't know about his work, that being his floor. Hat tip, Spaceman. Nice to see you. You like the wingspan on Bowden? I like a lot of things about Bowden, man. Look, he was good at everything he played. He just didn't play enough of anything. Like frankly, Brandon Ayuk. I saw one good year, and it was only age 21, but he only played 2. Like, to employ the Calvin Ridley rule, he would have had to been good at both years. But his first year, age 20, was so far below average that it looks bad to me. I get how that could just be small sample. Frankly, I have to turn to a film grinder for a little more perspective on him. Maybe I just don't have enough on him. So yeah, I've got a concern about how clearly I can see this guy. And this is the thing. Now I feel pretty comfortable about my ranks. I can start to think about where the edges are, you know. I'm concerned about this guy, Gibson. Oh, crap. Because I think ADP would mean I'd never get him, and I don't want to not have exposure to. It's not like I don't like Gibson, so I want him on some rosters because I think he can do some more work. Don't get me wrong, I don't think we're talking about the new running back 1 or anything. If he turns out to be that, I never saw it. But I don't want to have none of him. Like, I like him. So, and that's why I'm starting to think maybe the draft board should have ADP built into it a little bit more. Like Rager and Jefferson and Mims, you can get, I've been told, especially in Superflex drafts, they're going early second. So, like, I like him here. Like, I just drafted Denzel Mims around about the 1.9, 1.10 in one league, and I was really happy to do it. It was between him and Higgins. I figured I could get Bryan Edwards on waivers, to be honest, because it was a 1-round draft. I have to see about that. Judy was already gone, so that was beautiful. I didn't have to worry about it. And I do have him lower, but like I respect that other people have him higher significantly. So, you know, maybe a draft board should account for ADP a little bit more. But then again, like I haven't said this is with ADP built in. I'm saying, you know, if I had every pick in this many drafts. Anyway, these are players I don't know enough about. Well, Gibson's a player that I think I want to be higher based on ADP. I don't want to have a lack of exposure. And I do like him. Brandon Ayuk, someone I don't think I know enough about. Shenault, someone I have honest concerns about. I could be wrong on that, but that's the hill I'm going to climb on. I think his breakout age is phony. Dynamic play. Everything people say about him is true. Incredibly dynamic player, physical specimen, hard worker, all of it. I lean on the idea that production by age actually shows us something of how they're going to translate, and I think Shenault looks a little phony. That's all. Same reason Higgins falls. I'm really not comfortable in my Higgins rank, but I got to be honest with it. You know, I like it. I like Evans more. I like Edwards more than him, but Higgins is a good player. So yeah, how to structure the draft board versus how I feel about players or how I would have to draft them. That's a conversation with the draft board. No, what do you guys think? How should it be more ADP sensitive so we don't lose all the Antonio Gibson shares? Like, who was it? It was Shane saying he was getting Evans in the 3rd round. So I could easily move him to the end of the 2nd. And then, you know. But I would want Evans more. Personally, I'd want Evans more. I just think he's underrated there. I just don't want to end up with 0 Gibson, you know? It's like Hamler. I really want Hamler, but I've let him tumble down into the 3rd round because he's playing the 3rd wheel if he's lucky. If he manages to break out, he'll be the 3rd wide receiver on that team because everyone believes in Jerry Jeudy, Cortland Sutton. I believe in at this point. So like he's got to be in the flyer 3rd round category, but I kind of hate it. Oh, fade any tight end for other player that you like, by the way. My tight ends are just there to fill out the draft board more than anything else. I did just take Devin Asiasi in a tight end superflex because the only other guy I wanted on the board was Hamler. And I'm loaded at wide receiver and everything I just said about Hamler. What we got here? Yeah, I think that's fair. Look, Paulie Sleepers, I love that guy. All right, I love everyone. Let's face it, especially on Twitter. Very good at his job. Very good at playing these things. He pointed out Van Jefferson before I ever really thought about him. He got a great landing spot. I just don't overrate landing spot. He got good. He got surprisingly good draft capital. I don't like him, but since you can get him pretty much whenever because no one wants him, I respect that argument. You know, he's more likely to catch a few passes before some of these rookies I like better with lower draft capital. So what I've got is what I did with those types of players. That I put them in this. Where we go. I put them in this tier together. Like Claypool, Jefferson, and Duvernay could all get more work and be more valuable than Gandy, Ayuk. Well, not Ayuk. Gandy, Mooney, Tyler Johnson, right? So ideally, you would draft these players first and then trade them for value. Like, halfway through the season, you trade Jefferson, who's had a few decent games, and people are really excited about him because of his draft capital, for, I don't know, someone that hasn't, and another second-round pick or a third-round pick. It'd just be a value move. And that's what this tier is all about. So maybe I should reflect that in my draft board. You draft them early, but I like them less. Maybe that's how it should be, but that makes me really nervous because I know some people are going to look at the draft board and say, oh, he really likes Van Jefferson. And I think it could work out well early, but I really don't believe he's going to be a great player, fantasy relevant player. I just think he has more of a chance to increase in value earlier. So, yeah. If he falls into the fourth, that's perfect for those type of guys, But it's like Donovan Peoples-Jones, same thing. Amazing things on his profile. I'll flip that value if it turns up. Hat tip, Spaceman. Spaceman loves that hat tip. Appreciate it. There's no reason to overdraft Evans. That's exactly what I'm saying. Like, I like Evans there, but you should know you don't have to take him there. It's like I love Mims here, but you probably don't have to take him here. Like, I like Mims as a late first-round pick, but based on what I'm hearing about ADP, you don't have to take him there, so plan accordingly. I don't want to miss on him, so I've been taking him late first round. I don't want to miss getting him. In my drafts, it's been a little harder to trade back in, especially this year. So I'm just taking my players, especially in the first round. But someone wants Higgins, where I would take Mims. Someone wants Shenault. Someone wants Pittman. Someone wants Ruggs. If I can find that guy and switch picks for a little extra value, that's the move with my draft board right here. And yeah. I can tell you what guys all that, but I know someone's going to look at the draft board and be like, I'm going to draft Zach Moss ahead of Laviska Shenault. You don't have to do that. If Shenault falls, take him. You can get Zach Moss later, probably. It depends on what the ADP is and how your league works. You kind of have to make that calculation a little bit as you go. That's what I try to do. Yeah, I think I should take my ranks out the draft board and accommodate ADP a little bit more. Hey, I don't know. Hey, appreciate you. What's up? Again, sorry to be late, guys. I lost track of time. I was working on projections a little bit. Don't want to tell you. That's 2 meetings I've missed 2 days in a row. That's bad, right? What do I love about Mims to have him over Jeudy? That's a good question. Jeudy, better draft capital, arguably went to a better team. And Jeudy has a good profile. the things that I value are age-adjusted production and breakout age. Judy looks good, but there are some flaws. Like, I had some questions. Now, mostly those questions were filled in by other people explaining about Alabama, explaining about Mr. Smith and Mr. Ruggs and the high-powered offense. So I'm good. Those questions got answered. The thing is, I didn't have any of those questions about Mims. He was just unquestionably the dominant player on his offense, and he broke the thresholds that most top 24 wide receivers break while in college. He broke out at 19 as well, just like Judy. But he was the dominant one. He had a lot of share of his team's offense. I have to believe other people on Judy a little bit more than I have to believe him on Mims. So for me, I prefer Mims because I can see it. That's what a good profile looks like. With Judy, I have to believe other people a little bit more. And that's fine. Those people are really smart and good at what they do. But it's a little insincere for me to say that I like Judy more than Mims. I don't. I like Mims more than Judy. That goes back to I don't have to draft Mims ahead of Judy. If Judy falls, I'll take him and then try and get Mims another way. But like trading back in if I'm really hunting wide receiver. So yeah, that's what I have about. That's why I have Mims over Judy. Specifically, the stats I look at outside of these likely thresholds where I've got draft round and breakout age. I like age-adjusted production, specifically in yards per team pass attempt, and market share receiving yards and dominator rating per year. In all of those things, Mims looks great. Has a really good profile. Judy was a little below the average in most of those things. I'm willing to accept that's because of the situation he played in. And, everyone I really respect on evaluating players on the field, from Anthony Amico to Zach Reed, all across the board, like, no, Judy's good. So, it just didn't show up. That's fine. I know that. But again, if I'm going to be sincere, and I try to be, or at least honest, I like Mims' profile more than Judy's. We agree on CD and Lamb. Okay. We just agree on those two, one player. I really tried to put, again, just trying to be honest about things I value, not trying to build in narratives I can't prove. I can't be afraid of CD Lamb's landing spot. Rager's got more significant questions on his profile. He does. I think it'll be fine, but he does have negatives, That third year was a concern. I think he'll be fine, but CD Lamb doesn't have any of that. I only put Justin Jefferson below Rager because I put them in one big tier. I'm really happy to get any of these guys at any value. Jefferson's the most likely to break out in this class based on breakout age and draft round at any threshold. So I tried having him at one for a while. Couldn't keep it there. Yeah, and look, this is perfect. If you're getting Van Jefferson in the early fourth, that's great. And again, that's just landing spot, more draft capital than you should really be able to get in the fourth round of a rookie draft. I don't like the player, but I can see how that guy's going to increase in value. And that's where we take those guys, right? Jefferson's probably well-termed a sleeper. Very few sleepers left these days, but it's a different kind of sleeper. It's someone that I think could get earlier opportunity than some players I like better. And then I trade him. Let me see if I can read this one. I need your thoughts. No one needs my thoughts, man. Should have asked before the trade. Just sold Clyde and Marcus Brown and Everett and a 2021 fourth, which is nothing. For Adams, Tyreek Hill? That can't be Tyreek Hill, right? If you get him, Adams and Tyreek Hill, I think that's the side that wins. Gesicki, AJ Dillon, 2021 third. 3 running backs, 5 wide receivers, 2 tight ends. All right. If that's Tyreek Hill, I like that side a lot. I'm okay trading out of Adams right now, but Adams seems to be worth the entire other side of the deal to me. That's the problem I got here. Like, Adams is worth multiple firsts. Adams is the only other wide receiver last year, for example, who had significance above the rest of the wide receivers on a per week basis. Starting Adams mattered. Starting Michael Thomas mattered. Most everyone else provided you about the same on a week-to-week basis up until like wide receiver 15 or so. So, like, Adams has been balling out pretty much. But anyway, especially if you're talking about an orphan team that you need to build, I like the Adams side more than the Clyde side. But I do like Clyde a lot, and I like Marcus Brown as a value. So yeah, it looks like a pretty good trade. As long as that's not Tyreek Hill, then it's not too unbalanced. And starting 3 running backs matters, but you're also starting 5 wide receivers. And 2 tight ends. Shit. I like Gesicki a lot more than Everett. So yeah, I'm leaning the Adams side, personally. Who do I think can be this year's Terry McLaurin? It depends what you mean. Terry McLaurin wasn't a top 24 wide receiver. He was the highest wide receiver as a rookie, I think, outside of AJ Brown. Like, he finished the highest. Got the most opportunity. Or do you mean who looks bad but will actually be good? You know, the guy who's going to really stick it to me that way. I think Brandon Ayuk could be that guy. I think Laviska Shenault could be that guy. I like him a little better than a little worse than a lot of smart people. If we're asking who's going to be like a useful rookie year one, I think CeeDee Lamb, Justin Jefferson, Jalen Reagor, then Denzel Mims. That's kind of a little bit what my ranks are. Like, I would bet on those players. Hope that answers the question. Which RBs and wide receivers do you see making the biggest impact in year one? It's kind of the same kind of question. Running backs make their impact year one, year two. Clyde Edwards-Helaire, I think, at least going to have a floor for you year one. Like, he's going to have a role here. Jonathan Taylor, same thing. That's why they're tier one. After that, I see Dobbins. I know everyone disagrees in this little tier 2 here with Dobbins, Akers, and Swift. I think it's Dobbins, but all 3 should get some sort of role in one. I think the draft capital of these teams spending on them this year says that they want them. They're expecting them to come in, and if not be the guy, then at least compete to be the guy. I don't think they drafted Swift as a compliment to Kerryon Johnson. I think they drafted him to be an instead of, but we'll see. I get that Swift has mostly been part of a committee in college. He's an incredible receiving back, maybe, but I just don't think they spend that pick on him to do that. Like, Detroit's not that savvy about the receiving skills of running backs, you know? Cam Akers has a better profile than the other 2 in terms of his production score. He's a big receiver as well. Incredible receiver is really overused at this point, you know what I mean? But he's a good receiver. He did a lot more of it than most running backs. I have more questions about Rams offense than most people do, I think. But I don't think Darrell Henderson. I just don't think Darrell Henderson's a threat to Cam Akers. So for me, it goes J.K. Dobbins, Cam Akers, very likely to have an impact year one. DeAndre Swift, probably, but a little less than those 2. After that, Vaughn, I mean, we'll know if that's going to work out pretty much straight away. Well, this first year, we'll know if Vaughn's going to be a guy or if it's another Charles Sims, Zach Moss. Again, my ranks are almost, especially at running back, are almost a pretty good representation of how quickly I expect anyone to have an impact. Yeah, I would say that. Apart from AJ Dillon, who I have, way down, he's going to get on the field, score a touchdown, and everyone's going to be like, see? Yeah, I don't know about that. McFarland should be above Benjamin. Like McFarland and Gibson and Gibson and Anthony McFarland should be above Joshua Kelly in terms of having an early impact. If you want to just rearrange my ranks there, you'd see that. Receiver, like I think I already said that one. CeeDee Lamb, Rager, Jefferson, then Mims, then Judy. Laviska Shenault would come in a little higher in terms of being an early impact player. Henry Ruggs as well. Like we're going to know a lot more about how Henry Ruggs is going to work out in his first year. And I think the Raiders are really going to try their best for him. And that's great. It's a perfect situation for him. I'm not sure either. That's a problem with, players that don't look like other players. You could just say he and Michael Thomas played in the same team. This is just a weird function of that current offense, the way it's made. So maybe you look a little harder at Ohio players. But I believe tape evaluations a little bit more in Ohio. Personally, I'm just chalking it up to you're never going to get them all, Luckily, McCollum wasn't, I don't think he was a first-round pick last year. You could believe in him enough to take a shot. I think I ended up with him in a few places, which is what makes me say he wasn't too valued, because I didn't think it was going to work out, and it did. I was wrong. Good for Terry, man. Jerry Jeudy's yards per team pass attempt calmed your nerves. Don't know what that was off the top of my head. Let me see here. Oh, I've got it filtered. Let's see, Jerry Jeudy. Okay. Yeah, it looks pretty good, right? His first year is 0.79, which kind of sucks, but his best year was 2.9, which is really good. His last year was 2.5, which is also very good. His average was 2.0. It's nice. Let me see here. Above or below his team's average, he was really good as well. It's a fairly good point on Jerry Jeudy, actually, Spaceman. What I'm saying here is that, Mims was good in yards per team pass attempt as well and doesn't struggle on the average of age-adjusted production. I know we're making reasons for Jerry Jeudy being that way, but this production score matters to me. Like, that's where I start. It's not where I end, but, I weight it pretty heavily. This is, a numerical description of age-adjusted production rolled into one number, and 0 is good. Like AJ Green was minus 1.5, so it's not like you have to be at 0 or above. I get that, but Jerry Jeudy is at minus 3, which is significantly worse than the average of most breakouts. I do think we can rise him up. We can rise him up 1.5% and go, okay, he's fine, based on his situation. But I have to do that with Mims. I don't, and that's to be sincere to the things that I value. Mims looks better than Jeudy. I get that that's not how we have to draft them or how we should draft them. I get it. Sorry, I can't keep it lit. Let me see. Back to the draft board. All right, and this is my version of the draft board, and I've recently been playing with, like I said, putting wide receivers ahead of running backs. I don't like it at all. In fact, instead of doing that, what I think I'm going to do is go back through, and instead of just putting my ranks in the order, I'm going to pay attention to ADP and like try to show where I think I have to or don't have to draft players. Yours is still fine, by the way. This is just it's my copy of it, so I can edit and play. All right. You pretty much have to take Clyde Edwards-Helaire at 1, right? Followed by John Taylor. Okay. Yeah, you're not getting Dobbins if you don't take him there. Not getting Akers if you don't take him there. And Swift. Okay, you gotta go CeeDee Lamb there. Who's gonna be the wide receiver 2, right? I think you gotta take Judy there. Man, I think most of these wide receivers look like second rounders based on the opinions I hear online. But I'm not doing that. I'm not gonna risk missing Rager or Jefferson there. Got to take Higgins around there. And then Chenault. And probably Ruggs. Kelly Gibson. Like Moss? Oh no, I already got him in. Yeah, then I get to come back for Mims, and I get to come back in for Edwards. Already took Chenault, didn't I? Gibson. Yeah, I can't see fading Evans any further than that. I guess we'll put Ayuk in there. First round draft capital and all, and that's where I would take Ayuk over Dylan, put it that way. Where is Dylan? Actually, it would have to be the other way around, right? If I'm taking ADP into consideration. All right, I got to look in there. Anyone got any more questions? Pittman's too low now. kind of chilling. Yeah, I'm just trying to rework my draft board, thinking where you have to pick players based on ADP, if anyone's wondering what the silence is about. Wow, a lot of wide receivers coming in here. Wait. I put Vaughn in here somewhere, didn't I? No. My production score is basically dominator rating. It's a dominator rating above or below average multiplied by how predictive each year is, which is why it comes out to such a weird number. You know the graphs I do where you've got the average line of top 24 wide receivers and then the player's production? It's basically the numerical description of that. Yards per team pass. I know what you meant. It'd be a good thing to do. I keep thinking we could make a breakout age or make something with yards per reception, like the first year that a wide receiver gets 2 or 1.5, or. But you know, someone smart will have to come up with the metrics around it. I'm just tracking it. He's essentially Miles Sanders. Miles Sanders would, this is a fair point. I have Swift as my running back 5, and I hate it. He comes out 1 in my model. He's essentially Miles Sanders, and that's all. That's if you even see him to be at least, I definitely see him to be at least a Sanders talent. Sanders would be probably about 5 in this year's class, so that makes sense. Swift and Sanders, I'd have to recheck, but I think Swift had the last year as the main producer, and that's what happened with Sanders as well. And the thing is, Sanders was really good last year. He got more of the role than the haters said he would because of Doug Peterson. He could get even more of it year 2. Like last year was a really good result from a draft pick for Sanders. If we get that from Swift, you probably would have got a steal with the 5th pick or the 5th running back off my board. I think he can do that, yeah. Kind of like him. I like receivers, you know. Oh wait, that should really be Dylan right there. Now that went running back heavy real quick, didn't it? don't know. Sorry, I was just doing this again. I'm trying to adjust how I like players by ADP from memory as well, so that's kind of a mixed bag. My memory, but I'm pretty sure. Yeah, if Ayuk fall into the mid-second, I'd take him, probably, I guess, based on draft capital. If all these other players had gone ahead of him, I'd take him ahead of Joshua Kelly, McFarland, thinking I could get them later. Lynn Bowden's too low, though. Oh, am I on the clock, Nathan? Probably not. Someone would have mentioned it. All right. Who haven't I taken? Pittman, I guess. No, I took him. All right. I don't like it, but there he is. Yeah, comfortably taken there. If everyone else is gone. All right, let's see. What do we think of this? Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Jonathan Taylor, J.K. Dobbins, Cam Akers, DeAndre Swift. Basically, take them in any order you like. Then the wide receivers. So I moved Mims down. Oh, that's who I'm forgetting. Ha ha ha. I'm going to put Mims in here. I hate this. This doesn't say how I feel at all. I mean, you could just look at ADP instead of me having to rearrange my draft board, right? Look at ADP, know how to adjust. Seems like that would work. I don't know what happened there for a second. Oh yeah, my draft board's still not enough. Still doesn't adjust for ADP enough. It's important to know that. I'm not saying you have to draft them in that order. As close as I can do with the way I feel about them, though. I'm sticking around despite, everyone having left, mostly because I was late. So that's my bad, and I'm just sticking around just in case anyone who was expecting me to be here by noon can actually come back around. Yeah, people are high on Gibson. I don't know, probably too high for me to get much of them. Yeah, I'm not taking him above. No, I'm not taking him above Edwards or Mims. Probably not taking him above. I guess, could Zach Moss be phony? We think he's good pre-draft. He ends up going to a spot with another running back that's basically similar profile, Singletary. Could we just be overvaluing pre-draft and the potential of a 3-down roll on a running back field that already kind of has that? And that would mean we could put Gibson ahead of Moss. But, that would upset a lot of other people. Probably switch out that rank. Okay, I like Joshua Kelly more than I like Gibson, but you don't draft Kelly above Gibson, right? That's I keep struggling with this ADP thing. I'm just weed whacking and it syncs well with your voice, so I'm not complaining. Okay, I guess I'll keep trying to talk. And no, what do you want to hear about here, Spaceman? While you're weed whacking? Weed whacking. See, if I'd been prepared, I would have coffee. I would be ready to go here. People asking where I am at around noon. Yeah. That makes sense. I had music playing. I was grinding projections. It was a fun time. I can tell you that. Until I realized I was 2 hours late for my own thing. That wasn't so fun. I think I don't get the DJ Dallas love. He's not going to take Carson's job or anything. I'd rather bet on Penny if I was thinking that. I mean, funny. Hey, Penny may start on pup list. Yeah, I mean, he's injured. That's the thing. But, like, what did DJ Dallas do? It just sounds like a running back people draft and then never mention again, I heard Scott Barrett talking about how, he's a perfect Seahawks running back. I don't know what that means. Let's see. Yards per team pass attempt, 0.4, 1, 1, 0.7. First best, last average. Although I think that might be screwed up, actually, in the running back sheet. 47% rushing dominator. Got 15 points. Running backs tend to average 15. Yeah, they average 15 if they have a top 12 season, I think. But I guess he could be a top 24 guy. I just don't see it. I mean, they've got a good running back core. DJ Dallas just seems like a fourth round teams that like running backs, like drafting running backs. They average 16 points per game. So slightly more than he did in his best season. I don't know. I don't see it. There's just nothing here. That doesn't mean he's not a good player. People are saying his name, and so I'll look to see what they say during pre-draft. That's how you read the Seahawks, right? Who's getting opportunities? Penny's going to be injured. Carson fumbles and gets injured a lot. I used not to like Carson, and then he proved me wrong, and everyone else stopped liking him, which has been great because I've been able to make up for my mistake at zero cost. I don't know why. He's one injury away. It's what we say about every running back, and we normally get who the backup is wrong. It's not about his draft capital, though. It's about he doesn't stand out in terms of what he did in college. Penny does. Carson does when I finally looked at him, and it doesn't matter because Carson stood out in the NFL, so he's the guy. They've got several backs on the roster that look good and did when they got in the field, but then got injured. I mean, running backs get injured. I mean, DJ Dallas could be the one that gets injured. I don't know. I'd roster him just in case everyone else gets injured instead. But, I mean, Matt Kelly and Scott Barrett mentioned them. So, I'm not ignoring them. I just, where did I put him? Yeah, I got him as a 4th round ad. That's fine. I'm not expecting him to come in and take the job. So he's just every other running back behind another running back to me. I think that's a really good bet, Spaceman, frankly. And Miles Sanders, if he gets just a little bit more of that role, and suddenly you're looking at a top 12 running back. Right now, he's not. And the floor of a top 24 running back's pretty nice. If Jalen Reagor can help out that offense, it's going to help out everyone. I've tried to trade from a few times. I haven't found many takers at value. I don't have many picks to throw away, though, to be fair for me to trade. Yeah, I've ended up keeping all my Corey Davis shares, which is in most leagues I have Corey Davis. I'm not expecting him to be better than AJ Brown. What I'm expecting is, a top 40 wide receiver, and people don't seem to appreciate that. Like, he's going to be competition. He's going to get targets. People are trading away picks and capital right now for players who are probably going to end up in that top 40 range, and that's good, but not when you're trading a lot more for it. It's like Randall Cobb was virtually free last year and you got top 40, whereas Marcus Brown cost a lot and you got top 40. I mean, Miles Sanders, on the other hand, I think that's a really good buy. I've been trying to find a process for targeting running backs during the offseason. It's a little hard, but Miles Sanders is one of the ones that's peaked up for me. My interest has peaked. If he does, I mean, there's nowhere to go for but like more than he's valued right now. Says Miles Sanders is ascending and will continue to this year. Maybe. And if he does, I think that's part of the miss. If he stays the same, there's really good running back in the NFL and for fantasy. If he gets more of the role, we're talking about a top 12 running back. He got all the receiving work he needs, more than most. If he just gets a little more of that rushing work, that's a top 12 running back. And that's probably the easiest stuff for him to pick up. I know what they said about Pedersen offense, and everyone thinks that got proven true last year, but Sanders was used more than any other running back last year, and it's because of who. I really think it's because of who he was. What can I look at that wouldn't crash my GPU while I'm streaming to show that? Nothing. Let me check this out here. I'm going to have to open my projections thing to throw some numbers at you on Sanders. Okay, so last year Sanders had 179 rush attempts and 63 pass attempts. It's really good, actually. Let me see if I can. Yeah, last year, positional target share had 55% of the Russian running back targets, apparently. And only 39% of the rush attempts. There's a lot of leeway between 39 and 45% of the rushing attempts. You wouldn't have to even get a majority to increase from last year. Significantly because of his receiving work. If you're getting that receiving work, just a little bump in the running game does wonders for you, you know? .9 points per opportunity, 3.9 targets per game, 55% positional target share. That's just about a game as well. So, you know, I was looking to see if I have PPR points in here, and I don't think I... Oh, there you go. 220 PPR points with 39% of the rushing attempts. Goes up to 45. That 45% of the rushing attempts, that would be pretty special. I think the opportunity there for him to do it, and I want to buy top 24 running backs if they have top 12 season potential. Yeah, I gotta find out more trade offers on that guy. No, right now Derrick Henry is like a top 10 pick. You know, as a top 10 running back, I'd much rather have Miles Sanders. Projection-wise, I don't have him there, but I think we could. Well, actually, in this iteration, I do. I don't know if I'm going to get that one past the committee. But I actually have him right now. He's sitting at running back 11 with 209 rushing attempts, which is only, you know, it's a 30 rushing attempts increase. That's increasing his rushing share to 48%. It's probably a little high, right? Maybe 45. Well, even pushing him to 45, he becomes like a top 15 running back. Yeah, I'd have to get to 46, 48. Same receiving work. And that's, you know, that's outside of efficiency spikes. To TDs, and you get there that way. I mean, there's a lot of ways he can get there, and I just kind of like that. I'm going to ask someone about that. I'm not sure if they noticed. And by committee, I mean, you know, these are player profilers projections at the end of the day. And so Matthew Kelly looks at him and calls me an idiot a lot because he's normally right. And we also run it by Patrick. We run it by player profiler guys and fact check and stress test. And they let me know what looks stupid. See if I get called an idiot on that one. And he doesn't. No one actually calls me an idiot. They should. That's just my hyperbole, you know. Hey, Cobra just let me know he's watching the Twitch stream. We're down to 3 people. I guess that's because I've just been sitting here quietly for a while. I'm going to stick around for a little longer than it's comfortable, mostly because I should have been here 2 hours earlier. I know people have got lives, but maybe they can swing back around if they wanted to check it out or ask me a question or get me to do some work for them. So who are my guys this year? I haven't even asked myself that question, and I haven't finished my undrafted free agent research. But the more ADP plays out, like my N'Keal Harry and JJ Sega-Whiteside and Andy Isabella of this draft, if you will, that completely crapped out last year. I can admit that. It's looking like Mims. Like people like Rager. I don't think I have to convince anyone on Rager and Jefferson, who would be my actual guys. But like my value guys, Mims, Brian Edwards, how much separation does Clyde Edwards-Helaire have from JT? Almost none. It's identical to me. You can go either at 101. You can go either at 102 and be really happy. I think CEH has a much softer floor because, as good as Jonathan Taylor looks, second-round running backs can crap out. But I don't think Jonathan Taylor's going to, and he looks much more like a traditional, top 12 running back than Clyde Edwards-Helaire does. So the separation comes from draft round. Taking into context this draft, Jonathan Taylor was drafted, where was it? Mid to early second round by the Colts. I think Marlon Mack days are numbered. Unfortunately, I've loved Marlon Mack a lot. Underrated for a long time, but Jonathan Taylor's better. Just is. So I think it's going to be the Taylor show. I'm surprised we haven't heard some kind of Marlon Mack moving on or trade rumor thing, I guess, maybe. Yeah, I loved Isabella. Come at me, Mr. Ruggs. And Hamler's basically Andy Isabella from a better conference, by the way. That's that's who Hamler is. Anyway, I love them both, and you can't change my mind. Even though Andy Isabella, got like 3 passes last year. Just a really good profile. Anyway, so the separation is Clyde Edwards-Helaire has a little more likelihood of hitting and probably a better floor. But I honestly think they both have the ceiling. And JT is a more traditional top 12 running back profile. So the separation is minute. If you want to go Jonathan Taylor at 101, completely understand it. I've got Clyde Edwards-Helaire at 101, and they're both in that top tier, that top 1 tier. For me, just as respect to the draft capital. The same reason I won't let Henry Ruggs slip too far or Brandon Ayuk slip too far in actuality, because it matters. And I can get my own drafted free agents to have my fun. 3.9, 3.6 wide receivers on average. Every draft class break out for top 24 wide receiver years. And not all of them come from the first 3 rounds. Now, some years we get 6. Some years we get 7. 2014 as an example. One of those guys is Adam Thielen. Lots of those guys came from the first and second round, so it's not like all these guys can't be good. But we also got Sammy Watkins in that draft class, right? We also got, I was looking at this the other day. In the second round, and speaking of draft pick, do you know who the lowest drafted wide receiver in the second round was in 2014? It was Devontae Adams. So, don't tilt too far on the second round draft capital or the order of the picks. You've got to go through profiles, man. Just have to, or you end up with. And to be fair, Allen Robinson was the first, which is fine. Obviously, we like Allen Robinson. But you don't want to miss on Devontae Adams, and that's why draft pick has a little less use than draft round. All right. Yeah, we've got Marcus Lee in the second round. There's just a few more misses even in that draft class. Paul Richardson, Cody Latimer, Jarvis Landry, Allen Robinson, Jordan Matthews were on the second round. Sammy Watkins, so much of his NFL production looks like he was a success, but he clearly wasn't for us. Like someone, I think it was Evan Silver, just posted, the most receiving yards before the age of 23, and like Sammy Watkins is in the top 10. He just never quite got there in fantasy. It's weird, and he, it's a miss based on production metrics, because he looked good. What do I think about Jamarco Hasty? Haven't looked into him. Don't know. What position does he play? I've really only just briefly started that kind of research. Who have I got? Marcus Callaway is the only one I really know anything about so far. Let's see. Played running back at Baylor. All right. I should have him in here then. My stream just stuttered. Let me close some things here. He's in the database that way. Drafted free agent from Baylor. 2,459 total yards, 5.4 yards per touch. Did get 3 years with more than 20 receptions. 80% rushing. 80% of his yards on average came from the rushing game. Interesting role, to be fair. Wasn't particularly efficient with it. Never got better than 10 points per game. That receiving work probably makes him a really decent flyer, just off the top of my head. Sounds like you've done a lot more deep research than I have, or you watch college football. Fairly inefficient on a team-per-team basis. Played at ages 19 to 22. Ooh, he's coming out late too. That's a little icky. It's okay. I mean, he's 23. He's not old, just old for a prospect. 76 receptions overall. I do like that it was used heavily in the receiving game. That's what I'll say just off the top of my head. Interesting guy. Adams didn't really break out till his third year in the league. That's true. But when he did break out, he's, like I say, he's one of the big difference makers at the position when he's on the field for fantasy football. And I don't know that draft pick can help you with that. Like, you tend to get more opportunity the higher drafted you are, but not by draft pick, by draft round. I can tell you that. I don't think that's a function of his pick. I mean, Allen Robinson, who else was from the second round? Plenty of second round players also broke out as early as first round players, I think. He went to the 49ers. That's interesting, Kyle. Yeah, really interesting receiving work, but especially since they just lost Matt Breida, right? So, yeah, he's interesting. Yeah, Mr. Ruggs is entirely true. We lose patience too early, but we also have to make decisions quicker. The only way to get an edge in fantasy football right now is to make the right decision before other people, right? And not to be, the first person to identify a sleeper. Like, first doesn't matter. First to come out on a player is almost more important, because then you get to sell them and you get less of a loss in value, right? Paris Campbell just didn't hit those thresholds like N'Keal Harry. And to be fair, I'm doing this evenly across the board. I didn't like Paris Campbell as his profile. I did like N'Keal Harry. I've liked very few profiles more than I like N'Keal Harry or JJ Arcega-Whiteside. None of them were able to. And I know Paris Campbell was injured, but that has rarely saved wide receivers moving forward in their careers. Like, not getting to, in and around 10% target share, rookies rarely break out after not doing that their first year. Not getting to 400 receiving yards, not getting to 50 fantasy points. Use whatever very low threshold you want. There is reason to get out with whatever value you can right now on Harry, JJ Arcega-Whiteside, Paris Campbell, because the likelihood is you're just going to lose the rest of the value by hanging on. However, it is good dynasty theory. Paris Campbell didn't play. The one time he did play, he caught a touchdown. If you can get Paris Campbell real cheap right now, that's also a good hedge, right? So the player with Paris Campbell, it makes sense to trade if you can get a second-round pick for him. Play without Paris Campbell, if you can get him for slightly less than that, good hedge. Yeah. Same with Harry. If you can trade him away for a late first, early second, I would. But if I can get him for less than that value, I will. It's where you put that tipping point, where you buy and where you sell. And you can have your own, but that's where I am, just based on how little opportunity they earned their first year. That's the calculation we all got to kind of make. Forgot my banner. I doubt I'd do more research than you, Peter. Well, you know about an undrafted free agent I hadn't heard about. That's all I meant, Kyle. There's research and there's research. Most of my time used to be dedicated towards undrafted free agents and players no one had ever heard about, and I loved it. But frankly, if you're trying to add value to other people's lives in fantasy football, I have to break down all this mainstream stuff. Yeah, like, you have to know about the actual drafted players, and I only have so much time. And frankly, I lose a lot to that. Like, I used to track, and it was one of my favorite things to track. If players had stayed on the same depth chart or had moved, like undrafted free agents, whether they were still on the same team in year 2, year 3, if they had moved, it's not very easy to track because there isn't like a centralized database. You have to kind of do a lot of manual entry, but it was one of my favorite indicators for undrafted free agents. And I just had to let that database die about 2 years ago because I only have so much time that I can actually spend some time with my family and doing an actual job that you get paid for and stuff, and some things just have to fall by the wayside. So I wouldn't put it past everyone, you or anyone else, to have done much more research on lower distance players, because hopefully you're not as sick as I am. That's the idea. I'm gonna get a lot of this content together and put it out for free, and you don't have to do the grunt work, and then you can look at the data yourselves. That's the idea, which hopefully frees you up to have more of a life. Research undrafted free agents, watch some college football. That's what I hope to try and provide. I don't know it's very useful, but you're more than welcome. For opinions are free, right? Everyone's got one, and I'm happy to share mine. Yeah, just as a aside, I end up telling people this a lot. If they are on Sports Football Reference, I either have them in the database or I can add them to my database. So that's kind of the threshold I use. Harry's my 6th IRR wide receiver in a start 5 wide receiver league. And yeah, someone is offering me Allen Robinson for my 101 and Harry. Yeah, I would do it. I almost feel like the 111's worth way more this year because that's gonna be Jefferson, maybe Mims. But yeah, I'm gonna take the veteran there. This would be a great year if I didn't like this. If you can find it in yourself not to like rookies, which we should mostly not. I really like a lot of these rookies, so it's hard for me to say I would actually do. But this is a great year to do those kind of moves. Go get the youngish, good players for rookie picks that we know have a low hit rate. But everyone's excited, and everyone loves this class so much. It's really easy to do. You offer someone picks, and they're like, "Yeah, sure, you can have Allen Robinson, you can have Tyler Boyd, you can have Robert Woods, you can have Tyler Lockett, you can have pretty much anyone that fits that category. Good, slightly underrated player who's going to be really productive. It might be sad if that rookie hits and you could have had him, but like Aaron Robinson is going to be good again." And all the risk is on that draft pick. It's a good side for either. It's a good trade for either side. It's basically a late first and a second, early second at least for Allen Robinson. 2 firsts at most. It's even. Like I say, I think you should probably be able to squeak more value out of that, but I would do it if I couldn't. If you know what I mean, I don't want to lose Allen Robinson. That's why I'm not a great trader. I just kind of accept trades I think are close enough. I don't get right value. I lose players I don't want to lose because I worry about missing out on the trade. I suck at trading. Also, apparently my trade offers suck, but yeah, I'll say that. And I become completely convinced of it. Like, I'm just not good at trading. And then I see other people's offers rolling into my inbox. Someone was offering me like a second and a third next year for Dak Prescott in a 2 QB league. Come on, man. Even I know that's bad. That's what I mean. And I posted this on Twitter, and people are like, "Why it's good to do it whenever it works." And I get that. I'm not saying I have the guts to do it, but if we probably should, right? We probably should know most of these players aren't going to hit. This probably isn't 2014. The danger of doing it would be if this is 2014. But if it's not, like, the value of these picks is not just theoretical. Everyone says, trade your first, they're worth so much money. But then when you try and do it, you can barely get the trade you want, This year, it's entirely the opposite. Like, I've literally gone to players that are very smart and would usually be telling you, fade rookies, la, la, la. I've gone to them saying, tell me what you want on my team for your second round pick. And they're like, I really can't see anything I want. It's like, you can't find anything on my roster that you would consider trading for that second. No, I've got OBJ on that roster. Yeah, I just don't. I'd have to add. No. Okay. I've got all these good players. Keenan Allen. You want Keenan Allen? No, not really. I just couldn't find anything. Like, that's weird. When you're going to a guy who's smarter than me, better at Dynasty, asking for a second round pick, mid-second round pick. What do you want on my team? I can't really see anything I want for that second. Really? That's a year where, if this isn't 2014, you can clean up. Even if it is, if you get the right value, like, it would suck missing out on Mike Evans, missing out on Odell Beckham, early career. Suck missing out on those guys. But what if you got out of those guys, like two, like all the first in the future, and you got, Calvin Johnson the last couple of years of his career. I think he was still up around then. And you maybe got Antonio Brown, who still had 2 more top 5 seasons in him. Like, if you get the right value, missing out in 2014 was fine. And Allen Robinson's one of those guys. It's a little close. It's a little close in value, but I like it. I mean, Rager, I don't want to miss out on Rager, but if you're offering me, Keenan Allen, like, really? I don't want Keenan Allen instead of Rager. That's wrong. So, it's a really, and I know this, and I still haven't done it. So that's what I meant when I said on Twitter, it's a really good year to fade rookie hype, because even people that know that we should find it hard to do this year because we love this class, man. And that's when you zag, right? When it's assured. No, it's not guaranteed to drop to 11, but someone will. There's no way. That's the thing about this draft, guys. Well, it's everything I just said, but there's no way there isn't a player you want on the board at 111. Like, they can take your 10 straight favorite wide receivers, 10 straight favorite players, and you're pretty good with your 11th player on the board, aren't you? You're pretty happy with that guy. For me, it would be Jerry Jeudy or Keyshawn Vaughn. Or I could go back down in my ranks and get T. Higgins if I wanted to add ADP to him, right? I'd be happy with T. Higgins. I'd rather have Allen Robinson. I was clear on that, right, Spaceman? I would do that. Allen Robinson for the 111, yes. Adding Harry, yeah, okay, but it sucks. I would try and get a little bit more out of that pick. But pretty happy getting Keyshawn Vaughn or any of the other 10 guys above that. And it's got to be one of those 11. So there are 11 straight picks here easily that I'm happy to get. And that's not normal. Normally there's 3 or 4. And then I don't want them until they're in the second round, you know? Normally it's like, I want Harry, I want the running backs, I want Sanders in the first round. But if I don't get them, I'm just going to fade to the second round guys. This year, like, you pretty much have to get to 110, 111 before I stop wanting them in the first round. It is an overdraft, but there's a really good reason for it, right? Running back. Decent draft capital, decent profile. When the two add together, that's fantasy kismet. Like, and we're going to know quick. Hopefully we're going to get production quick from a running back. That's why. And who do you want above him? Like, my next guy is Bryan Edwards, who you don't really have to draft to the late second. Or T. Higgins. You could put T. Higgins above him. I want Higgins. I just talked about him, guys. Like, his profile's good. It's just not great. I could easily see him being the wide receiver that doesn't hit out of the group. He has the lowest production score, lowest efficiency on a per team pass attempt basis. Or if you don't like Vaughn, you could take Shenault, who I have a lot of problems with in terms of his breakout edge being, but that's fine. I think it's fine to take Shenault over Vaughn, but it's a conversation, you know, the players that you can take over there. I have questions about all of them, and Vaughn's got running back in his back corner, in his back pocket, right? That value of running back. I tried to get him out the first because, you know, I wanted to be contrary. And Jake said something on Twitter. I was like, okay, let's see if I can get him out the first round. Mediocre running back, really? I'm going to have him my first round? Yep, I am. It's a Royce Freeman play. It might Royce Freeman, but he's still running back. It might go the other way, and it's an insane value, you know? The wide receiver, yeah. It's right there. The 111 is right where it starts to become much more a conversation of, okay, do I want this guy, this guy, this guy? And when it does that, I just lean positional value. I don't know what this is, so I'm just going to put it up here and say yes. Wow. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 13 people looking at my draft board right now. Normally I don't see that many. And 8 people watching. Hello, 8 people. I'm sticking around a little longer than I really want to or should because I was meant to be here at noon and I was here at 2 because I lost track of time working on projections. I apologize, but I'm sticking around just in case some of those people that were planning, they literally planning to come and have a chat at 12 and then I wasn't here and I'm real sorry about that. Thoughts on Pittman? I was just on the Dynasty Owners Manual podcast and we talked about a lot in my top 12 of wide receiver. Like T. Higgins, Pittman looks fine. He looks good. I like the landing spot and the draft capital and everything looks fine. But he doesn't stand out in any particular way. You know, like Paris Campbell. There's nothing wrong with that. He could be a good player, could work out. But everyone above him that I have above him stood out significantly. In really important, what the metrics I think are really important: age-adjusted production, breakout age, that kind of stuff. So Pittman looks like a really good player. I could see it working out, but I just have however many players above him because he was just good. I have him at wide receiver 9. He's a top 10 wide receiver. You can say that. I have him below Shenault, who's just got a little bit more dynamism to his profile and a younger breakout age at 19. Then you've got T. Higgins. Bryan Edwards is probably the one some people might have below him, but I really like Bryan Edwards' profile. He broke out at age 18, for example. Then you've got Jerry Jeudy, Mims, Jefferson, Rager, Lamb. I have him in this tier of players other people like more, but are really decent flyers of Laviska Shenault, Pittman, and Henry Ruggs. I want some exposure to those guys, but I don't think they're as likely to be as good for fantasy as, 7 other players above them. I was looking when I was on that podcast at Pittman, and I found some interesting things. For example, if I can just pull it up quick. He only had 1.6 yards above his team's average pass attempts. So he wasn't as significantly more efficient on a per touch basis, on a per team attempt basis that I typically like to see for wide receivers. That's an efficiency metric I've been working on. But if you look at his yards per team pass attempt, it's actually pretty impressive, if I remember right. Yeah, he started off at 0.8, which is bad, but he didn't play much, if memory serves as well. But he went right up to 1.9. That's really efficient. That's a really good yards per team pass attempt at age 20. That's when he breaks out. I think his breakout age is 20, which is a good breakout age. It's fine. But then at 21, he goes up to 2.5 yards per team pass attempt. That's a continual improvement above average in a really important metric. That's good for Pittman. Like that. If he hits, that's what I'm going to be pointing back to and say, see, I should have probably valued that a little bit more. The reason I don't, 2.5 is really high for a per team pass attempt basis. But the reason I don't is this 1.6 score. It looks like the team in general. To have a 2.5 yards per team pass attempt, but only be 1.16 above your team's average, the whole team was pretty efficient on a per pass team basis. He was the most, so he's the guy you want from the team. But that might be a function of the offense a little bit, is my guess. But if you like Pittman, the thing I would look at is this per yards per team pass attempt. It is actually really good. Continually improved in his second year, went right to above average and got even higher in his last year. That's impressive. I'll say that about Pittman. So maybe he just played late and his market share was low, again, because of his team situation. But I can't find a way of adjusting that, which is reasonable to apply across players. So instead, he looks average compared to the 7 wide receivers I have above him. And that's where I'm at. His production score is 2.7 minus 2.7%, which is far outside the range I'm comfortable with on his age-adjusted production. But again, if you like Pittman, yards per team pass attempts says there's good reason to like him. I just see some little problems. I never want to talk anyone off like, because I could be wrong, and then you're like, man, I was gonna draft Pittman, and then Pierre Howdy told me not to. I can explain why I have him a little lower maybe than you, and then you can see if you're comfortable with that. But I also pointed out the positive, right? So interesting balance. Again, I'm not saying I don't like him. I'm just saying I would take the shot on Higgins, Edwards, Judy, Mims, Jefferson, Rager, and Lamb ahead of him, which puts him pretty deep in the class, you know? McFarland went 1 of 10. Wow. I did hear about him on some podcasts. I imagine that's podcast hype, you know? I like McFarland. I like his landing spot. I don't think he's gonna... I think that's a little too high. You know, he was a combine darling. No one had ever heard of him until around then. But he did profile pretty well, actually. Got an interesting skill set, was relatively productive, but far underproductive compared to these other guys, you know? I don't think he's going to beat out James Conner. I think he can earn a role, and that has value. But at 110, again, we were just talking about that being the range where you can start to take a shot. That's fine. But like, wow, that's hot. I have running backs I would take over McFarland. Like, if Vaughn was gone at that range, like if I had to take a running back, I'd take the shot on Zach Moss. I'd take the shot on Darrington Evans, but I'm not doing that in the first round. AJ Dillon, I guess, would be the draft capital guy you can fit in there. But again, I'm not doing that in the first round. Like, that's way too high. Mainly because you can get him later, so you don't have to take him at the 110. You could have taken a great wide receiver and then got him in your second round very comfortably. Yeah, Higgins, Edwards, and Chenault, 207, 208, 209. Again, we're going to get great value on those guys. And that's what I was saying about the rookie board thing. Like, see if I can pull this up. Like, I have it set up this way, but like, there's no way you have to take Edwards at the end of the first round. So know your ADP, right? That's how much I like him compared to these other guys. I like him a little better, so that just puts him into the first round. But you could take Higgins and then get Brian Edwards at the end of the second. Legitimately, that's a thing that could happen. You take Higgins here, then you get Edwards there. And I would do that. If I can do that, I'm doing that. You could take you could take Higgins here, then take Gibson in the second round, and then get Edwards in your third round. I would definitely do that too. So it's not, this is just me drafting. On a draft board, you have to pay attention to who's actually drafting with you so you can find out where you can get all the players you want the best way, right? So, yeah. Let me stop sharing this thing. There we go. I took Justice Hill 110 range last year. Yeah, and that's the Vaughn problem, right? Like, it makes sense, but it can easily not work out. Yeah, frankly, Vaughn, any running back around the 110, that's the shot you're taking. It's a Justice Hill type shot. If it works out, you get the positional value and everything else. If it doesn't, you're kind of sitting on a lost year. But, you know, Justice Hill, until this draft, still held value. But you can always get Pollard and stuff later. That's why I get Vaughn, and I've put him at the end of my first round, because that's where the conversation starts. But, like, it's a tier. It's a draft round tier, and it's fine to take a wide receiver over him if you want to. Vaughn looks slightly more likely to get touches based on where he's going. You know, people underrated Mark Ingram, for example. I don't think people are overrating Rojo quite the same way, or underrating Rojo quite the same way. We know there's risk there, but I think Vaughn can compete a lot more than Justice Hill was able to. But again, it depends who's on the board and if you think you can get him later. Like, you don't have to take Vaughn McFarland there if you can get someone else and then take McFarland later, which you definitely can. In most drafts, like I'm in one player profiler league, and running backs will not be available at the end of the second, is my typical experience, because Matt Kelly preaches the positional value, which is, a good idea. But that means everyone in the league's aware of it. So running backs don't fall. So it's the shot on the running back you want. And frankly, that's probably really fun to do, right? Like, I'm going to go get my guy. I'm going to get McFarland. I can't fault that. Antonio Gibson is a guy I would insert in that conversation as well. Early second, yeah, sure. I was looking for him. Vaughn went in the third round. It's a little rough, but so did Zach Moss. So did Gibson. In a player profile league, you're probably going to have to take that shot whenever it comes to you because, like I say, the running backs just don't fall. You regret that decision so much. Yeah, it probably sucks pretty hard considering the number of hits we had. You don't get the Royce Freeman, the Justice Hills though, right? In Justice Hill's case, I don't think any of us really paid enough attention to Mark Ingram, or I know I didn't. And Justice Hill profiled so well, but that's a lesson learned. We can at least always learn a lesson. Matt Kelly league. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, running backs are just not going to fall, and so if you've got one that you want, it makes sense to just go get him. I can't fault that because you're not going to get McFarland in the end of the second. He's probably not falling there. I haven't checked out player profilers ranks, but I imagine they don't follow player profiler ranks to a T, but it gives you a better indication of what you can expect in those leagues. And you do start 3 running backs, and that's significant as well. That changes the value of running backs. They have to move up the board with that. But let's see. Yeah, Vaughn is the 7th pick, or the 7th rank. Player profilers ranks for rookies. McFarland is 20th, so he's still reached. But experience in those things, everyone takes early shots on running backs so you've got to take. I get why he did it. I probably would have taken the shot on Gibson. Even Darrington Evans over him, and I probably wouldn't do it in the second round because I can get those guys when people are taking Anthony McFarland. But McFarland, I wouldn't be surprised at all if McFarland has first year relevance. Running back with an interesting profile, going to a good spot, who's athletic. Player profile, a dream right there. Yeah, I was trying to name them. Zach Moss, Darrington Evans, Joshua Kelly. Yeah. Or where is he? Antonio Gibson. He's the other guy I would take over there. McFarland kid. We'll have in the same range and can get later now, apparently. Sorry. Hey, aren't we all really followers at this point? I know I am. I'm just following people around, trying to track the stuff that makes sense and get use out of it. Well, we should start one then, Spaceman. I'm down to 5 leagues, I think. I can probably afford another one. I was going to leave player profiler league, actually, just because I don't have the time for it. But last year, I kind of tanked the team a little bit. It wasn't going the way I wanted, so I traded off a lot of stuff. Ended up getting a lot of third-round picks because we can't trade for firsts and seconds. And it feels wrong to leave the team in that situation. You know, especially in a player profile league, it's difficult to build up. They're difficult leagues to build in for one reason or another. And I kind of don't want to leave that to a new owner. I know that sounds, I don't know how that sounds actually, but that's how I feel about it. I don't like leaving a league if the team's in too bad a shape. I like to put it together a little bit before I leave to do some housekeeping, you know. And it's a fun league. I just found trading really difficult. And every time I made a good trade, it actually got shouted down. And I ended up having to give it back or give back extra value. And it just really frustrates me. It's like, we're adults and it wasn't collusion. Come on. That's a league. And last year, it just didn't work out the way I had. But I had Dalvin Cook in a trade. Like, I got it done. And this was when Dalvin Cook wasn't obviously a top 5 running back. And like, we didn't know, but I apparently traded too much value away to get him. It really would have been nice to have him last year, but I get it. Those are the rules, right? That's the league I signed up for. But it sucks because it could have worked out really badly, and that's why they didn't like it. But it sucks that it actually worked out, and I had it done and wasn't allowed. But there you go. Instead, I went the other route and kind of sold off assets and tried to build capital, and I'll try and go again. There are also difficult leagues to come into, and I came into that league late. Once a league kind of sets up who are the powerhouses and who are not, it's easier to roll over value once you are a really good team than it is to build up value. You have to hit on some of these unlikely things and then roll the value into a good team. But it's easier to trade your first for good players, It's a little easier to maintain being good than get into that top echelon. And that league had already pretty clearly tiered out by the time I got there. There are 3 teams, 3 or 4, that are just clearly dominant. They have all the talent and all the value. It's really difficult to compete when you have that kind of distribution of where the value is, you know. But I think I did all right. I was like 2nd or 3rd in points last year. Oh, the year before last. Last year kind of sucked, so I just started selling stuff off. They're difficult leagues to compete in, but challenges are not bad things, right? That's what we do. I like a good challenge. And it's really interesting. I kind of like the format. It's simple, and yet it's got some edges that are really interesting, like starting 2 tight ends, 3 running backs, 5 wide receivers. It makes all the positions a little bit more valuable. Kind of like that. You might have taken over Spaceman's Orphan team, maybe. I haven't checked that league out. I've seen some moves being made. I just haven't gone and looked. That's why I was thinking about leaving it. Like, now's when dynasty moves get made, and I'm just too busy. A snake in rookie drafts? Yeah, yikes. It really shouldn't. By the time you get to rookie drafts, they shouldn't be snaked, but there you go. That's all you got to do. You just got to keep trading. That normally fixes it. Well, not unless you're me, apparently. That makes sense as the name of a player profile league. Yeah, it's a good one. I think mine's called the League of Buzzards, which makes sense. I'm pretty much a buzzard. I think my t-shirt actually says minion, but yeah, I think buzzard would be a better description. Sorry, someone just said Marshawn Lynch is going to come back to the Seahawks. So that's just funny. Love Marshawn Lynch. Okay, what player profile ranks? Pretty good to my eye. They like Pittman more than me, but they have him in the same tier. Maybe I should move Ayuk up, given everything I just said. All right, here we go. Yeah, he should probably be in this tier up here. All right. We're doing a live rank edit. Can I go ahead and... Oh, God, I have to put him ahead of Hamler. I hate this. I hate it. All right. Let's remove this formatting then. Trying to be sincere. I found some stuff I liked about Aiyuk a little bit more than I thought I did. There's a little bit more of a mystery there than I thought. I thought I was pretty set on who he was. No, that's too green. Nope, that's too green. That's too green. There it is. Okay, that cleans up my tiers a little bit. My tiers, sorry. I'm going to put Hamler in his own tier again, though, because I like him a lot. And give him a bigger green just to make people really upset. Because I like him a lot more, man. Actually, I'm going to put Hamler and Bowden in their own little tier. Yeah, this color coding isn't by accident, by the way. I do, like, it's not left over. I do mean it in terms of tiers and who I like and how they fit in. I'm trying to give as much information without, plowing you with a spreadsheet like the way I normally do. So I'm doing a little color coding. A little tiering with these little black lines. By rights, the Claypool tier should be higher than the Gandy Golden tier. I'll think about that one a while longer. Oh, Lynch had an ESPN interview yesterday saying he's talking to the Seahawks, said it could happen. Oh, please, let it happen. Yeah, that's where they're getting the Lynch info, apparently. Yeah, I think at this point he's probably not what he was. But football is better when Marshawn Lynch is in the league. Let's just admit that. All right, what did that do for my draft board? Put Aiyuk early third round. That's probably more true. Yeah, if you're drafting off my board, the Claypool tier should definitely be above the Gandy Golden tier. But I prefer the players in the Gandy Golden tier. Like, what do I do here? Devin Duvernay, Chase Claypool, Van Jefferson are in this tier of could increase in value earlier. But I don't like the plans. So, trying to figure that out is a little difficult. But this is what I did. Doop. And I moved up. You can see what I'm talking about down here. I put Hamler and Bowden in their own little tier, and I moved Aiyuk up into here. But what I'm thinking about is this tier should probably be above this tier, but I like these players better. Like, I like these players. Kind of quite know about these players. Anyway. All right, I've been on 2 hours. I'm giving it a little while longer just to see if there's anyone else who might be able to come in, catch up, so I can apologize for being extraordinarily late 2 days in a row. Ooh, I just got a new follower. Hey, dude. Thanks for checking me out. It's really weird how Twitter lets you know that stuff like it matters. You just got followed by 3 people. Cool. If they want to talk to me, I'm sure they'll let themselves be known. Otherwise, I'm pretty sure they'd rather go under the radar. Also, don't know what this picture is, but I appreciate it. Oh, it's a football and a whistle. Maybe. I like it. Yeah, we're live on Twitch and YouTube right now. I'm getting most of the comments from Twitch right now. How's Twitch doing for you? It's been running a little better for me, like on the phone app. For a while there, it basically I couldn't watch a video. It would be constantly lagging. And I've got a decent phone, and that's not an internet problem because I got 5G and everything else. So I think the app was just a little too much for me. But recently it's been a lot better. I've actually been able to watch. I think they, thinned out the code. So hope it's doing well for you guys. My internet sucks, but like I was watching major streamers on the app and it was still stalling out. So I do most of my viewing on the old laptop right now, which I spilled coffee on the other day, by the way. And now, like, there's a big circle on my keyboard that doesn't work, so I've had to plug in an external keyboard, which is actually better. I actually prefer the old clunky keyboard, so it's actually pretty nice. It looks like an arm holding up a football. A little stringy purple arm, maybe. I get it. Kyle's over here watching us on YouTube. Love the YouTube, man. I struggle to know if I should make something a podcast episode or a YouTube video, because the YouTube videos and the live streaming, I love this direct interaction. Like, you say something, I can talk to you. But podcasts, I kind of love the research and getting put together a whole narrative. So I don't know how I'm going to break down what to do where, but I've got to figure out before the season comes, right? I was thinking making like interviews, just the Crossroads episodes, the podcast, or making them just videos and then do solo shows on the podcast. I don't know. I've got to figure out the theme of the podcast so I can make a new like advert. Because right now it's just me talking about me and Jake hasn't been here for a while, as he pointed out recently. So I really got to update that. Yeah, cool, clunky keys. I'm actually hoping it helps out with my typing errors, because you really can't smudge 2 keys at once when you got a significant little click you have to make. And taken over a team after Romo and Calvin Johnson retired. Yeah, that's rough. Yeah, the one I walked into was fine. It's just hard. A fine team up against 3 or 4 teams that have just got everything. It doesn't matter. Being in the middle sucks worse than being at the bottom, because presumably if you're at the bottom, you've got a little more capital to work with. In the middle, it can be a little difficult. I'd rather be at the bottom or at the top. Like, some guy in that league actually tried to troll me, pointing out that I was low. I was like, yeah, because I just sold off all my points producers, dude. That's why I would rather do that. If I can't get to the top, like there's no way, then I want to sell off everyone scoring points and just have all the capital. Now, unfortunately, you can't do that very well in a player profile league. That's one of the challenges of it, because you can't trade for first and seconds. And so I traded for a lot of thirds, a lot of players I thought would hold value that are younger, like a Mike Williams, I think I traded for. Not really one of my guys. I do like him. And I don't think his value is going anywhere. He's pretty solid second round pick, right? Maybe not this year. But if not, he'll be a solid producer in a start 5 wide receiver league. And so that's just the way I went. Not last year, which is why I was able to trade for him. It's difficult being in the middle. You kind of want to go up or down. All right, guys. It's 2 hours and 7 minutes. I'm probably going to get out of here. I'm getting a headache because of the light. But if anyone has any questions, I'm happy to stick around and talk. I just don't want to be sitting around staring at the camera. Just to make up for what is clearly my mistake. Let's go to Patreon and see if anyone's told me off. And they should, man. I was meant to be here at 12, not 2. Sometimes the schedule gets the best again, you know? All right, looks like I'm getting the green go-ahead for my Miles Sanders take. So just to round out that conversation from earlier, yeah, I kind of like the idea of projecting Miles Sanders as a top 12 fantasy running back because it's possible. So it'll be really good to target it. The only thing I had to do was increase his rushing share from 39% to 47, 48. That's a jump, but I think he could get there. I think he has that potential. And that's what I've got it set at right now. I actually do have a link with my current 2020 projections for Patreons only because their player profile is projections. They pay good money for them. So like they're not a public thing. I'm not even sorry about that one. That's someone else's stuff. And I won't continually update it or anything because, again, we're going to be working on this as a team. It's a team project. But my initial run that was just from me, patrons have access to that. And also me. But that's true of everyone. So. Oh, I was going to write J-Mike. That's what I was going to do. I'll try and have a good one, but I'm going to be feeling guilty all day about being here at 2 instead of 4, and I should. That's not a cry for sympathy. You should take a minute to condemn and insult me a little bit because that was a sucky thing to do. Sometimes the grind just takes hold of my attention too long. Ask my kids, frankly. Yeah, I'm not locking my ranks and draft board in until I decide on that Chase Claypool tier. All right, guys. Gonna head out. Can't stream tomorrow, or I would. Again, still trying to make up for it. I've got a meeting in the morning, and then I work all night. And at some point, I got to go to the mechanic again for my car. So I got to fit that in. I also recently learned, a little inside baseball here, my driver's license gives out in 2 months, and so does my permanent residency. So that's probably some life stuff I should really be paying better attention to. Interesting enough, live news alert. I think I'm probably going to have to take the citizenship test rather than re-up my permanent residency. That lasted for 10 years. Honestly, forgot it had a shelf life. And I'd like not to have a shelf life. And the idea of me being dragged away from my kids hanging over my head. So probably going to be a citizenship test if I can figure out how to do that. And yeah, so that's what I'm up to. Hope you guys are good. Hope you're healthy, happy, really clean hands. And I'll try and get another stream in this week. I just dropped the latest Dynasty Crossroads episode. I drop one every Saturday, but I'm doing some extra ones around the draft. I was going to do 2 more, and then I realized I was really dragging out these ranks. And so I just did an overview of the class and my top rankings at every position, which you can now see on that link I just posted in the chat at the top. Posted on Twitter. It's on Patreon. It's free. It doesn't mean anything. It's just where I'm at. If you're interested in another opinion, hopefully it's useful to you. And yeah. Thanks again for checking us out. I'll see you again next time, whenever that may be. If nothing else, I'll see you. I'll talk to you on Saturday on the Dynasty Crossroads. I think I'm about ready to start having guests on again. I've done 2 solo shows. I can't think of another solo show I want to do. If I do, I'll drop it before Saturday probably. And I'll see if I can line up some guests and get some other opinions on these rookies out there. Thanks again, guys, and I will see you next time. Bye.